all my subscribers and to all my viewers. I'm here again, Teacher Marvin, and I'm going to share again another lecture video in professional education. And by this time, I'll be talking about lesson planning. So you'll be learning about the parts of lesson plan and how to write a lesson plan. But before that, I'd like to thank all the subscribers and viewers that I have already. It's been a while that I haven't uploaded my lecture video, but I was really surprised when I saw one of the lecture videos that I uploaded before because, ayan po, let us see, umabot na po siya ng 9,000 views. And I actually did not expect that aabot sa ganito kasi I just wanted to share, of course, my knowledge because I think a lot of students are struggling right now in understanding their lectures or their topics because of the new normal in education. So some are having modular approach, blended approach. You might find it very helpful, and I'm correct, no? Naging helpful din to sa mga education students. Yan nga, umabot po siya ng 9,000 views. And at the same time, thank you so much for subscribing. Ngayon po, umabot po tayo ng 553 subscribers na po. And then, here are the students who extended their gratitude to me. No? Maraming mga nagpasalamat. Yan, because they understood the lesson very well. And then very nice lecture. And then I saw this post also, or this comment, Ilocano spotted, right? I'm a full-blooded Ilocano po. I'm from Pangasinan. Thank you so much for commenting, and for sharing your gratitude with me. This is the reason why I'm making another lecture videos. Despite the busy schedule, guys, I really find time to make another lecture video because you might be needing this one. Okay. Alright, thank you so much po. And of course, to all of you who commented here and to all the viewers and to all teachers and pre-service teachers, Happy World Teachers Day po. Mabuhay po tayong lahat, mga tinaguriang heroes po. Okay? Lalong-lalo na po ngayon that, teachers really have a lot of sacrifices in order to deliver the lesson very well to the students. And once again, Happy World Teachers Day po. Mga teachers na katulad ko, mabuhay po kayong lahat. Ayan po. Okay? So, let's tackle now about the lecture that I'll be sharing with you this morning. Okay? Ayan po, meron po pala akong of course, the YouTube channel, and you may want to visit my Facebook page. I just created this Facebook page actually, Teacher Marvin. So some of the materials that I'll be using in the lecture videos that I made and I'll be making, I'll try to upload those materials in my Facebook page. So you may wanna visit and you may wanna follow that page. Alright, so let's start, guys. Okay, so the first question that we have to ask, of course, in making a lesson plan is, why is it important to write a lesson plan? Okay, because probably some of you might have heard already something about lesson planning, and some of you might have heard already that it's a burden in the part of the teacher because of the preparation, because of the time that they need to spend in writing a lesson plan. Okay, but let's look at the positive side of it. Why do we write lesson plan, and how is it important to teachers? Well, lesson planning means making decisions in advance about what to teach, how to teach, and the time assignment of every teaching procedure. Definitely, if you have already written a lesson plan, you already have a topic in mind, of course. Okay, and from that topic, you're going to make a lesson plan. So you already have a topic. For example, your topic is about verb. Okay, and after knowing the topic, of course, you need to think of strategies. Okay, teaching strategies. How are you going to teach the lesson to your pupils? What approaches, teaching strategies, teaching procedure, teaching techniques are you going to use to deliver your lesson? And of course, you need to consider the time assignment. So after 45 minutes, for example, or after an hour, you must have finished already your lesson. So you have already delivered the lesson. There are already exercises, right? Activities provided, and you already have the evaluation and of course the assignment. Okay, so you need to budget also. If you're going to write the lesson plan, it's not just about the strategy, it's not just about the lesson itself, but one important factor is time management. Okay, so you need to design your lesson in a way that it would fit the time assigned for that particular subject. So if it's only for an hour, then your lesson must be good for an hour. If it's for 45 minutes, then your lesson must be good for 45 minutes. Okay? So what are the benefits then of writing a lesson plan? What benefits will it give to teachers? To help the teachers distinguish the various stages of a lesson and to see the relationship between them so that the lesson can move smoothly from one stage to another. Okay? There are various stages in the lesson. Of course, before you start your lesson, you have your motivation, okay? You have your presentation of the lesson, you have the discussion, and so on and so forth. Different parts, which we are going to study today, okay? So, if you already have a lesson plan, there is already a smooth flow of the lesson, okay? There is already a direction of your lesson. Therefore, there will be no dead air already in your lesson because everything is planned. Okay, and everything will move smoothly because you already have a plan for that. Okay, therefore, if that's so, if the stages of the lesson will go smoothly, surely you will achieve your lesson objectives. Proper lesson planning gives the teacher opportunity to anticipate potential problems that may arise in class so that they can be prepared with some possible solutions or other options for the lesson. If you're making a lesson plan, especially if it is a detailed lesson plan, it's as if you're already teaching. Okay, but in a written format. So if you're writing already your lesson, you're now imagining what will happen in your class. You can now have a picture what your class would be like if you deliver your lesson plan. Therefore, you can have an idea already what potential problems may arise, probably time management. Okay, so since my lecture is broad, right? Can it be delivered in an hour? So you have to consider that one, okay? And for example, in choosing an activity, okay? You have to choose an activity which is appropriate to your learners. So if it is group activity, are you sure that it can be done inside your classroom with 50 students, for example, and your room is not that spacious enough? So you have to think again, if in giving activities, in using strategies, you can anticipate potential problems already. And you can, from that alone, in writing lesson plan alone, you can already anticipate these problems and you can have already a remedy or solutions to those problems. Lesson planning gives teachers, especially novice teachers, confidence in class. When we say novice teachers, these are teachers who do not have yet much experiences in teaching. So there was a book that I've read before that if you have 5 years below, so 1 to 5 years of experience, you are still considered a novice teacher. Okay, but if you already have 6 and more years of teaching experience, you can be considered an expert teacher. Okay, so beginning teacher, in other words, okay, need a lesson plan because it would provide them with, confidence in class because everything is already well planned. You already have the materials, you already have the lesson, you have already reviewed the lesson itself. And so what you're going to do is just to deliver the lesson during your period. Okay, that's it. It will give them confidence in the class. Actually, it's very easy to determine, it's very easy to determine if the teacher really has a lesson plan or none. Okay? Kasi guys, mahalata mo yung teacher na walang lesson plan, and at the same time, the teacher doesn't master the lesson itself. Makikita mo yung minsan mga teacher na kukunin sa pagkukwento, di ba? Kunwari ito, wag niyong gagayahin tong mga ito, Although there are very, very, very few of them, na experience ko din. I'm talking, based from my experience, okay? But I know you have you don't want to be like that, okay? So may mga teachers na pag mga walang lesson plan, magpapagawa na lang ng activity na hindi pinagplanuhang activity, right? Or yun nga sinabi ko kanina, magkukwento na lang, kunwaring magagalit, magwo-walk out, but deep inside wala talagang lesson plan, Walang prepared na lesson for the day. Okay, paglilinisin na lang, ayan, o gawa kayo ng essay about this, but there are no lesson objectives, So these are manifestations, that the teacher is not prepared. It's like a battle class, If you're going to go in your class, you must be armed, When I say when you must be armed, you must have your lesson plan, your teaching aids, okay, and all. And of course, most importantly, you yourself must be ready, your consciousness and the preparation, etc., etc. Okay, ayan. So how does lesson planning process work? So we have to remember this framework po, So we have the objectives, we have the assessment, and we have the activities. One of the common mistakes of my students when they're writing lesson plan, I keep on reminding them that the lesson plan, assessment, activities must be what? Must be aligned. Okay, they must be aligned always. Okay, your objectives, of course, these are the objectives of the lesson, the things that you wanted to achieve right after the lesson. Okay, and you're going to give an assessment to measure if your objectives were really achieved. Okay, so kaya kung walang connection si assessment mo sa objective mo, how will you know that you achieved your objectives? Okay? So, for example, sa objective mo, identify the different parts of a plant. Or yung assessment mo, pwedeng mag-identification. O may picture, tapos identify ng mga bata what part of a plant is that. Right? Do not give something na hindi naman related sa objectives. Okay? Because you're just wasting your time, your effort, the paper itself. Kasi there's no sense at all. Okay? So if you give for example here, enumerate the different region in the Philippines, well, dapat magkaroon ka ng enumeration dito sa assessment. Okay? So dapat align. Also with the activities. You give activities, okay, in order for the students to have some drills to master the lesson. Okay? So after the activities, you have to expect that they're now more ready to take the assessment so that they can achieve your objectives. So nagbibigay ka ng assignment dito for practice. And if you have seen that they have mastered already the lesson, then you give the assessment. Okay? And from that, you need to reflect, okay? Did they really achieve your objective or not? And it's a process, as you can see the arrows, It's a process. Okay? So that's how your lesson plan goes. Okay? Objective, activities, assessment must be aligned with one another. And ito na po yung mga parts of a lesson plan. So first, of course, it's the objectives. Or in Filipino, it's called layunin. These are statements that describe the desired learning that students should have acquired and should be able to demonstrate at the end of a program of study, okay? Or at the end of the lesson. Okay? Ito yung kailangan mong i-achieve. You're teaching you're giving activities, you're providing assessment because you wanted to achieve your objectives. Okay? So it's the end in mind, sabi nga sa principles of writing lesson plan or lesson objectives, no? A teacher must have an end in mind already. So this end in mind are the objectives, the things that you wanted your pupils or students to achieve right after your class. These are your objectives. It specifies both an observational action on the part of the student and the object of that action. So in writing, okay, in writing your lesson objective, you must consider this thing. It must be observable or it must be measurable, because the action, no, cannot be, or the learning cannot be measured if it is not observable. Okay, so do not make an abstract, very abstract lesson objective, right? Okay, here is the alternative format for learning outcomes statements. So students will be able to, okay, plus verb, the desired action or performance, plus object, plus optional modifier. Again, no? General statement, students will be able to, or at the end of the class, at the end of the period, at the end of the lecture, depende sa format ninyo, no? Students will be able to plus the verb, plus the object, and plus the optional modifier. So let's see, no, kung paano yan isusulat. Okay? So at the end of the lesson, the students will be able to apply the basic hand and body movements in a dance presentation. So tignan natin yung ano niya, yung parts niyan. The verb, of course, it's apply. Okay, that's the verb. Object, apply what? Basic hand and body movements. What's the modifier? In a dance presentation or through the dance presentation. Question, is it observable? Yes, it's observable because they're going, you can see it yourself, no? They're going to use basic hand and body movement in dance presentation. Therefore, it is measurable. Okay? Ayan. Yeah, before I forget pala, no, if you're going to write a lesson objective, you have to consider always the SMART. S-M-A-R-T, SMART. Or it must be specific for S, M, measurable, A, attainable, R, result-oriented, and T for time-bound. Or the other book, they say terminal. Okay, again, it's SMART. S for specific, M for measurable, A for attainable, R for result-oriented, and T for time-bound or terminal. So you have to consider that. Gagawa ka ng lesson objective. Measurable ba to? Observable ba ito? Okay? What else? Attainable ba? Baka naman yung lesson objective mo, create a mock-up of the school and your students are grade 2 pupils. Pwede ba? Is it measurable? Hindi po, no? They don't have yet the ability to do that one, okay? Or can it be achieved? Okay, can it be achieved within an hour? No, at the end of your class, kaya na bang gawin yan ng mga estudyante mo? Okay? Is it result oriented? Is it time bound? Okay? Yun yung may consider natin, no, in writing a lesson objective. Another thing is you have to consider the 3 domains. I did not include it in the presentation, no, but I want you to take down notes. Okay, these are the considerations that you need to always bear in mind when you are writing a lesson objective. Another thing, aside from SMART, is the 3 domains. Okay, we have the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. Again, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. So when we say cognitive, these are the thinking skills of the students. Okay, Affective, these are the attitude, values that you wanted to instill in the mind and in the mind of the students. Okay? And psychomotor, it's the skills that you wanted to enhance also to the students. So it is said that your lesson is holistic, okay, if it measures the three, or if it targets the three domains of the students. Again, the lesson is said to be holistic if it enhances the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain of the students. Alright? Okay, so itong objective nito, write an essay with an application of subject and verb agreement. Is it cognitive, affective, or psychomotor? Okay, it's more of psychomotor. It's the skills. Writing is a skill, right? So it's more of a skill. Okay, although these three domains have are sometimes overlapping, definitely, because lalong-lalo na si cognitive, no, you will not know what is right and wrong, what you wouldn't know what's valuing if you don't have a foundation of knowledge or cognitive aspect of that. The same is true with writing an essay. You cannot write an essay without knowledge on subject verb agreement, no? So nag-overlap din yan si cognitive. Okay? Ayan po. Okay? And tignan natin, dissect natin, no? Yung verb na nandito, of course, it's the right. Okay? That's the verb. Object, right? What will the students be writing? An essay. And you have the modifier with an application of subject and verb agreement. Okay? And the dance presentation. Okay? In Filipino, we have this example, nakabubuo ng mga hinuha ukol sa mga pangyayari sa sanaysay. Yung verb mo dyan, nakabubuo. Okay, this is psychomotor. Okay, nakabubuo ng alin? Ng mga hinuha, that's now your object, and your modifier ukol sa mga pangyayari sa sanaysay. Ayan po. Okay? Another lesson objective, describe. Ang describe naman po, it's more of cognitive aspect. Okay? Describe what? Biology. What's the modifier? Wala pong modifier. Okay? It's importance to life. Okay? Ayan. So what are some verbs to avoid in writing lesson objective? So we need to also consider this one, okay? Because I said that, lesson objective must be smart, okay? And you cannot, your lesson objective will not be smart if you're going to use these verbs. Appreciate. It's very hard to measure. How will you measure the appreciation of your students? So do not use this one, okay? Comprehend. Be aware of, know, be familiar with, learn, believe, and understand. These verbs should not be used because they are too abstract, they are not measurable, they are not observable. Okay? Yan po, kailangan nating iwasan yung mga lesson plan na yon. Mga verbs na yon, hindi lang mga X natin ang iniiwasan natin. Okay? Ayan. So, kidding aside, another part of a lesson plan, that's number 2. Okay? Second part is the subject matter, or in Filipino, that's paksang aralin. Okay? It includes the topic covered by the lesson. This component has the following sub-components. So, subject matter, may mga sub-components pa siya. What are the sub-components? So, under subject matter, we have the topic or paksa. Definitely, it's the lesson itself. So, for example, ratio and proportion. References or sanggunian. Where did you get your reference? Is it from a book? Then you have to use this format. Okay? Or depending on the requirement of your school. Okay? Or you can just simply get the URL and the date accessed if it is from the internet without or if it is from a website. Okay? So topic, references, and materials. Okay, or materials for instruction, or in Filipino, kagamitan. These could be flashcards, interactive charts and graphs, audiovisual presentation, and the like. Okay? Question, pwede ko bang ilagay, teacher, blackboard, whiteboard, chalk, marker, eraser? Can I include that in the materials because I use that in teaching? Hindi po. Because these materials are given already in the classroom. It will not be a classroom without a whiteboard like this. Okay? It will not be a classroom without an eraser. Okay? So given na po yun, do not include that already in the materials. What you're going to include though in that part are the materials that you're going to bring inside your classroom. Okay, nag-gets po natin. So nag-prepare ka ng flashcard, lagay mo flashcards or interactive charts, depende sa ginawa mong material. Okay? And third part is the procedure or pamamaraan. Now in your paper, for detailed lesson plan in the procedure, you need to divide your paper into two. Okay? So hatiin mo siya sa dalawa. The other one, left side of your paper, if you're facing your paper, it must be teacher's activity. And then the other one, it's student's activity or pupil's activity. Okay? So in this part, there are subparts again. Okay? First part ng procedure are the routinary activities. Take note, guys. Ang magkakaparehas lang dito na format ay yung mga major parts of a lesson plan. So these subparts, for example, in procedure, these subparts could be, it's not constant, no? Hindi pare-pares ang format in subparts. Ang importante lang, wherever school you go, no, ang mga magkakaparehas yung mga major parts of a lesson plan. But they could have different format when it comes to the subparts. So what I'm sharing here is yung mga ginamit din naming lesson plan before when I was a student and as a teacher, no. Although sa amin kasi I don't use lesson plan because what we have is what we prepare are syllabi dito sa college. So dito mga elementary, high school yun. But this is what I teach to my students. This format. Okay? So first part under procedure is the routinary activity. So it includes prayer before you start. Okay, you need to pray, greetings, and checking of attendance, and review of past lessons. Okay? So in prayer, what you're going to do here, in the procedure is you're going to tell you're going to write what you will be telling inside your classroom. Although, this is just a guide. Hindi ibig sabihin na kung ano yung sinulat mo sa lesson plan mo, you're going to follow that religiously in your lesson. No? Hindi naman po ganun yon. Okay? But the format in detailed lesson plan is as if you are already teaching but in a written format. So for example, prayer. Good, kindly stand, class. Can I ask Marvin to lead the prayer? And then sa kabila naman sa students activity, open close parenthesis, students stand or students pray. Okay? Or pwede si teacher yung mag-lead ng prayer. Class, let's all stand and let's have prayer. Okay? And then you don't need to for me, it's not necessary to include the prayer itself in the lesson plan. You can just say students pray. Okay? And then after that, you may take your seat. Good morning, class, or good afternoon, class. Okay? Tapos meron ding feedback si estudyante. Good morning, teacher, or good afternoon, teacher. Tapos you're going na to transition to checking of attendance. Is there any absent today? Meron na namang sagot si estudyante. Na, teacher. Depende sa'yo kung meron lalagay mong absent. Pero hahaba lang yung lesson plan mo pag ganun, mas marami kang susulatin. You could just simply say, na, teacher, kasi pwede kang mag-expect din doon na walang absent. Okay lang dito. Sa part na ito ng lesson plan, pwedeng magiging mag-expect. Okay? Ayan. And then, of course, review. Why is it important to have your review before you start another lesson? Because it will make the lessons have the continuity na tinatawag po natin. So, the students must be aware that these topics that they're teaching are connected with one another. And how are you going to do that? You have to provide a review. Okay? Ayan po. And then motivation. It's up to you. You can have games. Pwede ka magkaroon ng interactive activities, charades, no? And yeah, depende sa teacher yan. You can create an educational game as long as it is connected to the lesson. Maraming nagkakamali dito ng mga estudyante. Sige, papasayawin nila yung estudyante nila, papakantahin nila yung estudyante nila. But what's the connection of that to the lesson itself? Remember, it must be connected. No? So yan, pag magbibigay ka ng games, what is the connection of that in your lesson? You always have to answer that question. Okay? And in providing motivation, it should be 5 to 10 minutes only. No? Sa akin nga, minsan 5 minutes lang. Okay na yung motivation mo. Because, most of your time must be spent in the discussion, not in motivation. Okay? Yan. And presentation of the lesson after the motivation, okay, ganun pa rin, no? Parang natuturo pa rin dito in written format, okay? Class, our topic for today is about noun. And then you're going now to present your IMs. And then you're going to start to teach, no? And then after you present your lesson you will now transition to the discussion, okay? You're going to teach every aspect of your lesson, every subtopic of your lesson. Okay? So in the discussion, you can ask questions. Hindi lang si teacher ang nagsasalita dyan. You can ask a question to the students and the students can answer. Sir, paano kung hindi ko kilala yung mga estudyante? Pwede ka pong mag-invent ng name. Okay lang yun sa akin. Mag-invento ka ng name. Nakatanggap-tanggap naman ng mga pangalan, ha? Kasi may issue recently, no? Na may nilabas na module na may double meaning ang kanilang mga pangalan. So you have to consider yun. Name na karapat dapat na tanggap-tanggap, ano. You can write a name and then you can expect mag-expect ka ng isasagot nila. Syempre, ang isasagot nila dapat yung tama na. Kasi kung mali, hahaba na naman yung lesson plan mo. So, instead na ikaw lang yung nagsasalita para hindi magmukhang teacher-centered yung lesson plan mo, you consider also other options. You consider also the students answering. Just ask questions. Okay? And then, generalization. Oh, there is a typographical error here. It's generalization. Okay? Alright. So, you generalize you summarize your lesson. Okay? But you don't need to reteach it. Okay? You can ask specific questions or you can integrate different teaching strategies in the generalization part, even in discussion presentation of lesson. I'll be very willing to share. I'll be sharing with you different teaching strategies, innovative teaching strategies soon, which you can use inside your classroom as a pre-service teacher. Pwede nyo gamitin sa practice teaching ninyo, final demo ninyo, and even sa mga estudyante, mga teachers na mismo, you can use those teaching strategies that I'll be sharing in your classroom to make your classroom interactive and fun. Okay? Ayan po. And that's the end of the procedure. After procedure is the evaluation or pagtataya. Okay? The teacher gives quiz or drills to assess if the students have gained knowledge after the discussion. Remember the framework that I've shared with you a while ago? Your evaluation or your assessment, this is also the assessment part, must be connected to your objectives. So whatever you will be giving to your students, it must be a vehicle for you to know if the students achieve your objective. Ganun po yun. Okay? So, pag magbibigay kayo multiple choices, enumeration, essay, pwede yun. Okay? But, it must be connected to the objective. Yun yung always may consider. Okay? And of course, the ability of the children. Kung kaya ba nilang gawin ito, and so on and so forth. Okay? And lastly, the assignment or takdang aralin. May mga policies na po ngayon na hindi pwedeng everyday ka magbigay ng assignment. So it's something na optional din nowadays. Kasi naging issue din yan. Bawal magbigay ng assignment before weekends. Para yung weekends ng mga bata, you could spend it with the family for them to play. Ayan. but it's part of the lesson plan. Pero yun nga, may mga policies na po tayo na hindi na pwede yan, no? Lalong-lalo na kapag madami silang subject. So may mga schools na binabudget nila. I mean, pinagpaplanuhan nila yung assignment. So for example, within this day, si teacher, yung magaganito, si teacher A ang bigay ng assignment. Tuesday, si teacher B. Wednesday, si teacher C. Para hindi ma-stress yung mga bata na pag-uwi ng bahay, hanggang alas 11, alas 10 silang gagawa pa ng assignment. Para they could have time to rest as well. Ayan. Okay? So these are relevant activities, exercises to be answered by the learner at home about the lesson discussed or about the new topic. So pwede kang magbigay ng assignment for them to practice or another assignment or an assignment which could prepare the students for the next lesson. It could be, pwede mo gawin po yun. Ayan. So, all in all, objectives, these are the parts of a lesson plan. We have objectives, subject matter. In subject matter, we have subparts, topic, references, and materials. Procedure. In under procedure, we have other subparts, routinary activities, motivation, presentation of the lesson, discussion, and generalization. Okay, yun po yung parts niya. And I forgot to include part 4, of course, is the evaluation. And part 5 is the assignment. Okay, yun lang po. I hope that in my simplest way, nakatulong po ako sa inyong mga estudyante. I hope that you can use my lecture in your lessons and of course in writing your lesson plan. I hope you all the best, guys. You continue to study very hard and be a change in the world. Okay, because as they say, teachers have the power to change the world. And of course, the future of the country lies in our hands as well. Okay, because we are molding future leaders. Okay, leaders of the next generation. So thank you so much. Nagyaman ang kada kayo amin.